So let me ask you this, and I know this is way too early because it's week 2, but it's always fun to look at the MVP race, and we all agree that I think Josh Allen's probably going to be lead in that clubhouse just because he's been consistent for 2 straight weeks now. Any chance Tua is in that conversation after 2 weeks? Because I mean, after 2 weeks, if he's leading the NFL in touchdowns and yardage, I mean, who the hell would have thought that was going to happen?
So his odds did move after the Ravens game. I think they're like 18 to 1 now, depending on what book you're looking at. But he's a dark horse candidate for sure. I just think the narrative is so out there.
Yep.
And listen, full disclosure, I'm not going to hide from it. I am not the biggest Tua fan. You can ask anybody that listens to the pod. You can ask Jay. You can ask previous people that have worked on the pod. I am not the biggest Tua guy, but he is winning me over. And on that comeback against the Ravens, that kind of solidified it. Of all right, he's done something that Dan Marino that no one's done since Dan Marino. So
Well,
I'm gonna start buying the Tua stock here. And I think Mike McDaniels, it helps when you have a coaching
to
staff
support
that
you.
actually believes in you.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've said this from day one, and I remember before this draft that the Miami Dolphins took Tua, I was high on Tua. Do you remember that? And you weren't because obviously you didn't watch much college football at that time, but who I saw at Alabama, the Tua that I saw there, did some things that I haven't seen another quarterback do in college football. Like, I mean, I've seen the greats like Vince Young and Tim Tebow do it, but what he did coming into big time moments, throwing big bombs down the field was unreal to me. And the fact that he was able to navigate his way in the NFL for the first couple of years with such turmoil around him, with such negativity around him, and always keep a happy, like upbeat, positive vibe about him, tells me a lot about his character. So I'm really happy for him right now that he's actually coming through, rewarding the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniels in the faith they have in him. And the question I want to ask you before we move on is, so you've seen the Dolphins, obviously your whole life you watched them. They've been kind of abysmal the last few years, but what's something that you can point to that really you're like, aha, I haven't seen that before. That's what they're doing different this year. Is it simply the scheming of Mike McDaniels? Is the defense is playing better? What's the one thing that stands out to you about the Dolphins this year?
The scheming, because I mean, we haven't really had an offensive mind, with this team. I mean, God, Jay, like, do I dare say, like, this is Don Shula? Like, I don't know what else there is. I mean, I've never seen someone actually want to go out there and get space. I mean, I guess you can point a finger to Tony Sperano, God rest, with he brought in the Wildcat to the NFL with Ricky Williams and I'm spacing the other guy's name right now, Ronnie Brown. But I mean, I haven't seen anything like this, so that is where I have like hope, because the Dolphins, like, for the most part, since I've watched them, they've always had a good defense. Whether it was with Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor, Christian Wilkins here, you got Xavier Howard. Like, there's always been like a decent defense. But I've never seen an offense clicking like this. So that is where I can point the finger. And that's why I said it last week, and I've said it in the offseason too. My bar for this Dolphins team is a wild card spot. Like, anything less than that, in my opinion, is going to be a failed season.
Man, you put expectations on your team, dog?
I mean, you see, and I know it's draft picks, and I'm kind of in the camp at this point of, F them draft picks, but you go out, you get Tyreek Hill, you sign him to a big contract, you draft Jalen Waddle to be a burner. Mike Gesicki's not the prototypical tight end to an extent, and you have a decent defense that can keep you in a game. Yeah, you should have expectations of this team being a wild card team.
Yeah, I can't wait for that game, 1 p.m. Sunday. You able to watch it at work? Or
I'm off. I'm just trying to figure out, like,
let's go.
do I want to, like, roll the dice? And because where I live in Connecticut, I'm like right on the border of, this is either going to be like a Pats game or it's going to be like the New York City market. Do I want to roll the dice and hope they put the Bills, Dolphins in the 1 o'clock national slate, or maybe take a ride to Foxwoods to watch it at the sports book?
So you'll know you can find out tomorrow. Have you heard of a website called 506 Sports? I'll actually send it to you tomorrow when it's published. But around like noon on Wednesdays, 506 Sports publishes all the games being aired in your market. So you'll know tomorrow if you gotta go out to Foxwoods or not.
Sick.
Yeah.